Hi everyone, Barbarous Angel, Geofactor 3, Analog Synth Player. Hello, Cecilia Amarati. Hello. And Lindy London. Hi. Hi all. Silent Walk, Stardust Freenet, Eli D, Oracle 11, and Mystic Earth, Scrappy D, Mike Luft. Hi guys. Wendy Boss, Mark Williams, Willow, Madam X. Hi everybody. And Sherry and Marty, thank you. Thank you for your service. Much appreciated. Who else do we have in here? Amber Eyes, Anthony Van Zant, and the Hypocrites Matrix. Hi. Hi, everybody. Getting very tired of the rain and dark days. We get, I'd say, cumulatively speaking, about a day and a half of sun here in Georgia. And then it's clouds and rain and rain and rain. Last night, thunderstorms with rain that was pretty intense. I'm going to show you a lot of videos on not just weather warfare and the consequences that people suffer. Donald Beretta, Tribulation Now. Hi. Thank you, Marty. Bandit is sticking her leg through the crack. Come on. That's right. Why bother using the cat door when they know I'm going to get up and be their butler, their door opener, their welcome wagon? Hi, everybody. I'll start in 2 minutes. It is so heartbreaking to see how many people are really just losing everything and not getting any help. Well, one of the reasons why I really loved Anderson, South Carolina, was the amount of sun. Even when they chemtrailed, even when there was that haze, you still could feel the sun. And I've not experienced that anywhere else. And it's very hard because, well, the sun affects our mood. And when you're down and this is what you get, it's very hard. You're taking shelter from the storm that is coming. Sith Trish, where are you? Somewhere in Texas or Arkansas? Maybe southeast Oklahoma? Where are you? Oh, I get very impatient waiting to hear where Sith Trish is. The chat's not moving. North of Dallas, okay. Oh man, I hope you're okay, Sith Trish. I really hope you're okay. because you have tornado. Is it tornado watches? Well, it's 7:10, so let's check it out. All right, the yellow is tornado watch. Okay. Did you get any sirens, or did you get any alerts on your phone? Weather alerts that I know people get? Why is this so slow? Yeah, I really need sunshine. I've always needed it, and you got your husband and cat with you. Good. Good. That noise, by the way, is Bandit going to the bathroom. And of course, for whatever reason, she has to. I look at the litter after she's done, and I'm like, she creates this whole mountain. I really, Sith, Trish, I hope that you're getting alerts every couple of minutes. I hope you don't get cut off from this chat and you let us know how you're doing. All right, G. Bowman, Wild at Heart, hello. Well, let's look at this. I mean, this is coming right at Sith Trish. Look at these. Beautiful. Extremely low frequencies. Blasting away out here off the coast of... Wow. And the crossing of the beams is very dangerous. I got to slow this down to see where it's coming from. All right, so it's coming from right off or right on the coast of Florida and South Carolina. So the crossing of the beams is really not good. And that's when you could hear the booms. So you like this flat line of storms? It's been like this all day. So, these storms here in Texas. Not good. Look at how straight lined they are. Manufactured, we know it. The manufacturing of cloud is just nonstop. Really? You're going to tell me that that's Mother Nature? Well, you've got tornado warnings all the way down here in, let's see. Yeah, tornado warnings. Down here in, way down in Texas as well, Central Texas, and just shy of your Panhandle. The whole thing right here, manufactured, and yes, I believe it's the nanotechnology. Look at all the ripples in these clouds. That is not Mother Nature. That is man. Man, oh man. How man uses weather as a weapon. Oh, come on. Oh. Great. For some reason, I can't seem to get onto the full radar page, but something's happening with College of DuPage. I suddenly can't access it. Whoop, there it is. Maybe that's why they were changing over. All right, something's happening. I can't get to radar on College of DuPage. So, yeah, the yellow tornado watches, Arkansas, North Louisiana, Southeast Oklahoma, but a pretty wide stretch of northeast into central Texas here. Sith Trish is, well, I guess somewhere around here. Okay, and wind advisories. A whole lot of the country is in a wind advisory. The mustard color is high wind warnings, and you have high wind warnings in pockets of North Alabama, Mississippi, North Mississippi, all of Tennessee, and into Kentucky. So I will link below to this, and you can, I don't know how often they update it, but I have to tell you, last night I was concerned, that the lightning was so intense. It looked like somebody was literally just flipping a switch, turning on the light. And it almost looked, and it might have been from the direction, because I was looking from the bed, kind of catty corner out the window. So it might have been just my view of it. But it literally looked like squares of light. 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. Really quick. And then the thunder, which scared the shit out of little one, who ran outside in the pouring rain. Anyway. No, I didn't hear about the blackout in Argentina. Wow. Well, I think a lot of people just don't want to know. They don't want to know. Because when you know, and you know more and more, as I do, yeah, I get nervous. And I'm not a nervous, anxious person. But even when that rain was coming down so flippin' hard, and I thought, well, what I get nervous about is power outages. So it's, but I've been doing this for years. I used to post weather warfare videos, and it was 3 or 4 a week of all of the destruction all over the world. I know what they can do. So, but what is really hard to take is our mainstream media meteorologist, along with the YouTube meteorologist now, and they all talk as if this is our weather now. And nobody mentions weather modification or geoengineering, or that it's manufactured. That's really upsetting. And they have the YouTube meteorologist. I was actually watching Ryan Hall last night, and I was flipping back and forth his live broadcast with, the tornado warnings and everything that was going on, and I'm flipping back to radar, watching it on College of DuPage, as well as the University of, is it Madison, Wisconsin. I'm watching all of these frequencies. I'm seeing it's not there, but suddenly there is a line of dots of storms developing. A very straight line. I can see it on his show, and there's no mention of it. Now, he's a relatively young guy, I think, so maybe it's these younger people, this is their weather. This is what they think is weather. And it's very hard to get across to them that all they were taught were lies. If they were self-taught, they were self-taught by people who lie. All right, so let's get to some videos. Why don't we start in Australia? Is it Northern Territory or North Territory?
Water up to the rooftops. This flooded outback community as breathtaking from above as it is heartbreaking.
Individually, people have had some significant losses in terms of their houses, their personal effects. That's traumatic for anyone.
Kalkarindji swamped by its biggest flood in more than 20 years, along with 3 other remote communities. Homes and buildings left inundated, like the community's world-famous art centre.
The last few hours, the water came up extremely quickly, and that's where I thought we might get a little bit more out, but some things we had to give up on.
These 2 workers spent 5 hours bogged in the rising waters before a helicopter came to rescue them.
As you can see, we are floating, waiting to be rescued, just sitting in a river.
The hundreds forced to evacuate, flown in to an Air Force runway in Katherine, 300 kilometres south of Darwin.
We just had a rough day today.
The most vulnerable, the first to land on dry ground. Now safe, the realisation of everything left behind is sinking in.
When you look at your house underwater, it's really sad. You lose everything there.
The Australian Defence Force stepping in to assist with evacuations.
A C-130 and a C-127 will evacuate people from Kalkarindji to Katherine, then they'll be bussed through to Darwin.
This former COVID quarantine centre in Howard Springs to be home for the foreseeable future for evacuees as they begin to arrive in Darwin. For those still waiting to be evacuated, some comfort. The worst of the rain may now have passed. Matt Garrick, ABC News, Darwin.
At least you have your quarantine camp. That makes me nervous. Now we'll do Malaysia.
It is hard to comprehend what has happened in Esk Valley. This once lush little settlement, now a tortured landscape of twisted houses and metal. It's been a hell of a week.
It has. We haven't lost any family, luckily. We've got, we know where everybody is that we're really close to and families consider it, but a lot of families have, and that's what you can't put a price on. As you see, we've opened up all the walls to try and get them dried out.
Graham Smith is exhausted and in a state of shock.
Again, I keep blessing you, saying how we're blessed that we didn't lose everything.
Like everyone here, he's trying to salvage and process what has happened and feeling forgotten amidst the official response.
We're coming through with first aid and requests for safety, every make sure everyone's happy and safe, water, food, so that side of it is working, but all we're doing is sort of, everyone's standing around saying, what do we do? Where do we start? And you see people chipping into trying to get into a house with a shovel and spade. It's ridiculous.
Have you seen officials? Have you heard from anybody?
No, not a soul. Nobody. It's you're the closest thing from an official we've had out here, so.
So it's neighbours and strangers helping each other to sift through this overwhelming mess. You got a guy from Wellington?
He just turned up with him and his 15-year-old son. He said, what can I do? I've got shovels, I've got spades, and how can we help? I said, what?
But they desperately want to know what happens next.
All we need is just some direction, because the community is so strong and the farmers are all flying by that number 8 fence wire, which we do. If we had some direction to have a plan. So we need a plan first, I think.
We've now got a cyclone minister, a minister for cyclone recovery. We've got cyclone ministers for each of the geographic areas that have been hit. They're going to set up agencies. Is that the sort of...
Is it all going to go into committee again and nothing get done? We don't need committees and meetings about meetings, and we don't need that. We need some machinery in here to get the thing going. I don't see it happening too quickly, to be honest.
There is plenty going on to clear State Highway 5 and get the power back on. But cleaning up the land here is just a massive, massive job.
And some of it just makes no sense at all. We are here with silt as far as the eye can see. We've got walls of debris, and then this, a couch with its throw rug, its pillows, 3 remotes, fully intact, and all just on top of this tree.
And no one knows who's going to start the cleanup or when.
And people are going to get tired.
And going to get angry as well.
We find a similar situation brewing in devastated Puketapu.
We can't turn the clock back, so we know that. It's weird, how do we go forward? And we've got no inclination about that.
Ian Cadwallader had to rescue his neighbours, and he's been in survival mode ever since the cyclone.
Where do you even begin to clean up?
I don't know. So we've gone through with a team and just sort of, we said, what's in the drawer? Yeah, find this, find that.
We haven't even been in there. You've got a dining chair hanging from the chandelier.
We haven't even been in there. We can't get in there.
Unbelievable.
David Wesley nearly died in his roof during Gabrielle. And now he's faced with an impossible cleanup, and he too is overwhelmed.
This camellia bush was right by my front gate, and my mailbox was somewhere about here. Now look at it. Who is going to shift this lot? Who is going to shift this? I have no idea.
The forestry industry has to be held responsible for not necessarily a cyclone Gabrielle, but it has to be held responsible. And look at the chaos it's caused. And it cannot be allowed to continue.
They too feel forgotten as the days tick by without power or water. They're living in limbo.
What about mental health? How's that around here at the moment?
I'm a tough rugby player, big deal, but I've been crying every day, And if you're not careful, you'll put me into tears. Because these people don't deserve it. They don't deserve no communication. Hey, they want reassurance. They want reassurance that somebody's are going to work something out.
Because where do you start and what do you do when your house is full of silt and your property is covered in 20-foot walls of wood?
We have seen nobody. No officials, nobody. Because we're just angry. I've got mates living in this valley that I've known since they've been 2 or 3 years old, and they are suicidal. What I want to know from the politicians, if they ever wake up or are alive, is how are we going to fix this? Who is going to help us? Because we need 50-ton diggers with big grabs. There's logs out there the size of motor cars. This is beyond me.
Now it's little one in the litter box. I think probably sooner than later, people are going to begin to get that you cannot count on government to operate as it used to operate. It's done. They're not there to help you. They are there to destroy you. And there's a lot on New Zealand. A whole lot.
When it rains, for some families it pours.
We just had this crash and we looked out the window and our backyard was flat and it was just disintegrated, like sloped, gone.
Alexa used to live here in the Auckland suburb of Glenfield. She has a son, a baby on the way, and is desperate for a place to live.
When we came back to the property after a few days, you see the house beams are just clinging on to dear life on these little small piles of concrete. And every time you went inside, you could feel the shift. A lot of stuff I bought for the baby was under the house, and we found out that it's contaminated with asbestos.
Our biggest city has been dealt a double blow. We had the wettest day on record, and then Gabrielle 2 weeks later.
Yeah, we knew it was going to be red stickered. That property was stability for me and my son, and yeah, it was my home.
5,500 homes have been damaged from the floods. The cyclone put another 1,500 households into an already stretched rental market.
We're seeing a real sense of urgency from prospective tenants. Unfurnished rental properties in Auckland, we're finding there's an increase in demand of about 2 to 3 times, but for a furnished property, that increases to about 5 times. Now, when you see an increase in tenants taking sight unseen properties, that's just desperation in the marketplace.
Hardest hit by the floods, the Hawke's Bay region already had a significant housing shortage.
It's not unusual for us in the Hawke's Bay to list a property for rent and get 60 to 80 applications within the first 5 days. So with the floods happening, that situation's only getting worse.
Things are not good. Really. This is heartbreaking.
Haven't counted, but there's plenty. Hundreds, I'd say.
Volunteers have spent days cleaning up the dead animals in Hastings. It's one of the more grim tasks in the wake of Cyclone Gabrielle.
So we've been going around picking up dead livestock that have been grazing on the flats around here and washed into residential and orchard blocks. So while they're busy clearing up their homes, the last thing they want to do is be picking up dead livestock.
We've been doing it for probably 3 days now, and sort of getting, this every day or more, filling up trucks with a group of friends of about 20, just going around and just pulling out dead sheep, or dead animals if we can find them, and just dragging them out by string through the mud. So it's been pretty tiring work, but like Kate said, it's not as bad as people that have lost their homes.
We just go in, load up our utes, drop them here, and then the contractors come in first thing in the morning and clear them. That's why we're down here, because it's away from all the public. They can get in their machinery, unload their trucks, and take them away. We don't dispose of them. We just putting them here, and then the contractors that are working for the council, they do that section of it.
Your 20 people are all volunteers?
All of them, every single one's a volunteer. We don't know any of these people. They're all strangers to us, but we just got into it. There's probably been 600, 700, 800 that we've done, 3 or 4 truckloads, 6-wheeler trucks. We've been focusing on here on Pakowhai because there's been, we know that there's up to 2,000 of them here. We've been down Swamp Road today. They're everywhere. These Hawke's Bay breeds, they finish lambs, and this is the prime time of it. There's heaps. Out there is the Chesahope Flats, and that's where they've got all these lambs grazing, and their whole flat it's been underwater, and they've come over the stock band and they've just hit all these hedges, and they ended up in all these orchards.
But as the weather heats up, the rot sets in, the smoke comes out, making the work even more essential.
As it gets hotter, these sheep are starting to blow up, so that's when the stench comes in. The first couple of days, they're just wet sheep. But now that they're blowing up, you can see that they're opening up. Look at that one there, it's already blowing up. Look at the flies. That's when it's getting horrible. People don't want that on their property.
I see too much every single day, and sometimes I just get overloaded. Oh, man. I said every single year, if we can't get any of this even just pushed back a bit or just, stopped for sure, that everything will just get worse. And everything has gotten worse. Every year we see more and more and more destruction due to just weather. Just weather. Here in the good old US of A.
It was a rough night for the Cedar State after severe weather and possible tornadoes.
So far, there could be up to 7 possible tornadoes across Oklahoma, which, if that's confirmed, could be a record for the month of February. Emily's been talking about it. Thousands been left without power. This morning, many will be waking up to downed trees, limbs, power lines, and some waking up to their home destroyed or damaged. Unfortunately, we're going to be checking in with our crews around the state coming up. Norman particularly took a good hit. So did Cheyenne. There's some damage around the state. Emily, you were talking about these tornadoes. For this time of year, we're just not used to nighttime tornadoes and really even February tornadoes.
Yeah, and it's very challenging when you have a line of storms. Usually they're brief, short-lived tornadoes, and they can only be just a few radar scans sometimes. The QLCS tornadoes that form along a weak line. I was trying to tell my husband what that was. He said, a what tornado? I said, QLCS, quasi-linear convective system line of storms, okay? I was freaking out. It's different when you have a baby. I actually care about a tornado hitting me. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look outside. With some high scanner, you can see all the tornado reports.
We're just not used to nighttime tornadoes. And I don't think anybody's used to tornadoes now off season. I had to keep looking at the date of that video, and that was today, because Norman was hit with tornadoes just a couple of days ago. So I have to ask you guys in Oklahoma, Sherry, I know you are there, were there power outages and more tornadoes last night? North Alabama.
And good morning. As you can see behind me, a red pickup truck lies turned on its side. So you can see the impact of what that storm actually did, and especially to several homes on Short Track Drive. 4 homes were hit with severe wind damage about 10:30 last night. There were no reported injuries. Now that we have daylight, victims are trying to fully determine the damages to their homes.
Everybody dropped everything and came over and helped us tarp our house, so we didn't lose anything. We've got water damage in the living room, but that's really it. We don't have anything more, so we were lucky, and I'm very fortunate and thankful to the people of the community for reaching out and helping us.
Again, thanks to the community for helping her out there. As a matter of fact, there were no reported injuries, just neighbor helping neighbor get through times like this. Reporting in Newmarket, Dave Brazelton, Way 31 News.
Dave, we thank you so much. So glad all those folks there in Newmarket are safe. And Athens, crews are right now working to clear damaged drainage pipes, actually, to avoid any roads from flooding there. You can see there in this picture, they have had to block off Line Road.
Who did flood overnight. Now, no one was hurt from this flooding. They're going to be able to get back into their apartments pretty shortly after they clean up that water, but the water was as high as 6 inches at one point. Here's a good reminder. Always make sure you download that Way 31 Storm.
And more to come tonight. More to come tonight.
You said your dog came out?
Yeah, my dog tried coming through the door because she thought someone was attacking me. Because it started pulling me out the door. And I had to grab her and shove her back and then just kick the you-know-what out of the door trying to get the clothes.
And do you have insurance that'll help cover?
No, I don't.
How's that?
My wife just passed away on February 10th, and now this hits, so it's kind of rough.
It's been a rough month for you.
Yeah,
How are you guys doing?
I hate February. Simple as I hate February. I mean, my oldest son took it pretty hard at first. He thought I was dead. He'd come barreling through the door trying to find out where I was. And we just keep on going. That's all we can do.
I mean, February 10th, February 28th. I mean, just a matter of weeks, you pretty much lost your
Right.
home and your wife. How is your family? How do you get through something like this?
Day by day. I mean, that's all we can do. Just go day by day. Just keep praying and just keep going. That's all we can do.
I mean, it sounds like you're lucky to be alive after you.
Yeah, I thought that was it for me. I mean, I seriously did. I started praying, saying, Lord, don't take me now, because, I mean, he just took my wife, so I don't even think about dying yesterday or that day, but it's been rough.
So, and anything the state, you expect that you hope the state offers aid?
I hope they offer aid some at least, because, I mean, I'm on disability, and I got to figure out how to do a window and do the door, and I don't know.
And what if they come back and say this damage wasn't big enough to offer aid or ask for assistance?
I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping that I'll be able to afford a door in the end.
I'm hoping that I'll be able to afford a door. This is when I think that we should all band together. Yeah, donate on a monthly basis and get other people to donate on a monthly basis a little bit, just a little bit. Pile it up so that if that man on disability doesn't get any aid, he would know where to go. And I wish I just feel sick about what has happened to my life, because that is something I so wanted to do, and I can't do it alone. But when there's no trust, who do you do it with?
You know what? Yeah, that 18-year-old tells me he was home alone. He was in an upstairs bedroom playing Xbox. He says a weather alert came across on his phone, but he chose to ignore it. The next thing he remembers, he says the roof was flying off, rain was pouring in, and he was holding onto a wall so he wouldn't fly out of there.
Kanan Kuykendall still trying to process what he went through. The 18-year-old was playing video games in his upstairs bedroom.
And I looked out outside my window here to the right, and then I saw like 3 trees get picked up in the air and like tossed like they were like weightless.
That wasn't the worst of it. Next,
the roof just like disappeared. After the roof went off and it like paper, I'm like, well, if it can do that to the roof, like I think I'm gonna get thrown.
Kuykendall says he grabbed onto a wall as rain poured in. Once the storm passed, he ran downstairs to safety.
We made it out alive, not harmed, no scratches, nothing.
But the family's home on Elk Creek Road, that's another story.
It literally looked like it just went right through the middle of the house.
Walls blown out, windows shattered, and screens torn. Almost all of the trees that surrounded the house now piled on top of each other. Emergency crews out assessing the damage say about a handful of houses in Madison Township were damaged.
Mostly came in kind of on the western front of Butler County, northwest corner, and came across through Madison Township.
On Dickey Road, a camper was tossed on its side, crushing a pickup truck. Another neighbor's yard littered with debris. Denver Anders says he was at work when his family called him terrified.
We was at work,
And we come out of the shop and we looked out in this direction. We could see it like finger come down. It'd come down like that, and it'd stop, and then it'd go back up and then come back down again.
Thankfully, his family was safe.
I could not believe it.
As for Keenan, he says he learned a lesson from all of this.
I think I'm going to take the weather alerts a little bit more seriously now. Pay attention to the details.
Cincinnati. That was Cincinnati, Ohio. Texas.
Yeah, a lot to talk about in the weather department. That hailstorm didn't last too long, but it tore through our region late last night and it caused enough damage to last a lifetime for some.
That's right. Large hailstones pelted cars and even broke out their windows. This happening in a neighborhood in Dilley. Katrina Weber was there and got a glimpse of the nature's destruction.
An early morning call for work came after an even earlier call to insurance companies for some people in this mobile home park. They woke up to busted windows and beaten cars, all courtesy of nature. Diana Acosta says the hailstorm that hit her Hilltop neighborhood in Dilley came on suddenly around 11 last night and lasted about 10 minutes. Still, her truck and nearly a dozen other cars here took a direct hit. Her neighbor, Jerry Alvarez, took these photos showing the golf ball and pea-sized hail that rained down on them. The unwelcome gift from the sky had him cleaning up pieces of his windshield. If you had any doubt about the power of the storm, check this out. People here say the hail came down and was able to smash the cinder block right in two.
The door just blew right open and kind of got me by surprise.
Downtown Dilley police got a taste of the strong winds and rain, then got a flood of phone calls about hail also causing traffic trouble on the highway.
If it would have penetrated to that windshield, we would have had a serious injury on our hand.
No one was hurt, but some people are dealing with their own kind of pain. Diana Acosta says she's not sure how she'll fix her truck. She only had liability insurance. Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
Oh boy, Texas. The hail. You want to know where Dilley is? Check this out. I've never seen anything like it. See this little blob? All right, this was at 11:21 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Last night, obviously. And this was the storm that was coming over. And this is where I am. So you see how the storm is being made more intense, the yellow? Okay. Well, it was obvious that the whole thing was, it would come on so intense, but it would come on so suddenly and stop, and then come on again suddenly and stop. Right here. The lightning and the thunder, they're literally intensifying the precipitation to be a bigger storm, to create more rainfall. Now, this is not the video I wanted. Let's see. Okay. This is when I get upset. He does not mention this, Ryan Hall. No mention. What is this, Ryan? But look at this. And in this video, he's talking about, he's very surprised at what he's seeing right here. And he said, like it's a wow. I wouldn't want to be underneath that. What was happening in Texas?
Sure can, Ryan. Update my page here, make sure.
Where is it?
The spin-up tornado, but yes, that did occur to the west of Plevna, Alabama.
Okay, right here. Here we go. Look at this. That's where Dilley is. That's where they got hit with that. Well, I'll show you the size of the hail that came down. Baseball size. But this is something I've never seen. Look at the extremely low frequencies that are taking on the shape of precipitation. Those are very dangerous frequencies right there. And they're ripping up the atmosphere while they're doing this. That's very, very, very intense. Look at this. Really? That's what a weather front looks like? But we don't hear from anyone talking about this? It is very upsetting. So, the frequencies going through here, coming out of Georgia into South Carolina. They use the extremely low frequencies to either modify or intensify or steer weather fronts. So, Dilley got hit hard with massive rain and really big hail.
Texas, March 2nd, 2023. Even though the bad weather wasn't everywhere, the storms that did happen overnight were strong. In some places, large hail caused damage. This was especially true near Dilley, where the Hilltop neighborhood got hit with hail that was almost as big as a softball. There was also big hail south of Jourdanton. The National Weather Service says that hail broke through the roofs of mobile homes and the windshields of cars, causing damage to both. People in one part of Dilley are trying to figure out what to do about the damage a late-night hailstorm did to their cars. Around 11 p.m. Wednesday, golf ball and pea-sized hail started falling all at once. Drivers on nearby Interstate 35 who were hit by the big chunks of ice called the Dilley Police Department office all at once. If it had broken through that windshield, people would have been seriously hurt. The hail mostly fell on the northwest side of town, near the Hilltop area. Luckily, no one was hurt. Back in Hilltop, people were also surprised by what they saw when they opened their doors. Many of his neighbors in the mobile home park where he lived also came home to broken or smashed car windows and big dents in the hoods of their cars. The front of Diana Costa's truck was damaged, and 2 of its taillights were also broken. She said she didn't know how she would pay for repairs because her insurance only covered liability. As a winter storm warning is still in place, the NWS says that the weather will get worse in southern Texas. Southwest Texas is getting a warning about strong winds. The Storm Prediction Center maintained its moderate risk of severe thunderstorms over the Arklatex region, with a wider enhanced risk area spread across inland parts of the southern plains and lower Mississippi Valley. Substantial moisture and instability from the Gulf of Mexico will move into the above-mentioned regions as well as the Mid-South and Midwest, leading to concerns about heavy rain and flash flooding over the next few days. The Storm Prediction Center's critical fire weather outlook for parts of the Big Bend region of Texas will be supported by the fact that the back side of this system will be very dry and windy. Thanks for watching the channel. World is dangerous.
World is dangerous. Doesn't have to be, but it is. So, tonight, again, you know, not here, nothing really except for the wind advisory, but a whole lot of areas. Have we heard from Sith Trish? Have we heard from Sith Trish? Is she doing okay? This is coming closer to the Dallas area. Look at this. This is so unbelievable how manufactured all of these frequencies. And we never hear from our fabulous YouTube meteorologists. Forget about mainstream media because they're all chronic liars. How is Sith Trish? Who's right in line for severe weather coming her way. All right. People really do have to band together, help one another. I know, that's the last I heard. She was hunkering down, but why don't we entertain ourselves with this?
Once upon a time, there was no big worries about sugar. So I thought I'd sing you a song. Sugar. Ah, sugar, sugar, you are stuck to my tits, and you're staying there. Sugar, ah, sugar, sugar, you are my candy girl, and you got me wanting you. I just can't believe the loneliness of loving you. I just can't believe how far it got you. Sugar, ah, sugar, sugar, you are my candy girl, and I got you wanting me. Honey, you are my candy girl.
We are seeing an explosion of mental illness. I don't even know what to say. But if you didn't see the thumbnail, let me bring it up again. Oh, don't you know it? China's starting to worry. TikTok has made Americans even dumber than they intended. Okay. I don't know if this is an American, could be in the UK somewhere, I don't know. But all I know is this TikTok usage that seems to addict them to TikTok, it really has it has contributed to the dumbing down of Americans. And, you know, at a time when we really needed to stop the dumbing down, but it just went on and on and on and on. Is what I am seeing on the screen right now, is there that much of a delay? So I'm talking real time, looking at the screen, still looking at the weather video. Is there that much of a delay? Oh, it's very frustrating. So yeah, we have serious problems. Forestry workers find animals dying at alarming rates in Ohio parks following the East Palestine train derailment. I will link to this if you want to read it. But it's obvious that the chemicals were far more toxic and long-lasting. Can't even remember, but let me see if I have any. No, I don't. I had to clean up this page of mine. Oh, there was a wonderful video that I'm just going to play a few minutes of.
Do you think that the company should be trusted when they say everything's safe?
It's on the Gray Zone channel, which I recommend you subscribe to because the Gray Zone does a lot of very, very good work. But the Gray Zone had someone go down to East Palestine, check things out, and what did they find? But before I even start this video, I want to bring up the link to the channel and the link to the video. I posted just a few minutes of that video on my channel earlier this morning. I may have to change that profile picture because every time I look at it I get upset. It's Buster. All right. So here's the channel link. A lot of good information in that video. I posted the information on how North Fork Southern has hired their own private police that usurp the power of the local police. And I have to tell you, man, that we are allowing what is going on in this country is so maddening. The governor hasn't said anything. The local police haven't said, the mayor hasn't said it, the senators haven't said anything, the local politicians haven't said anything about a corporation that hired and has its own private police force, and they're in East Palestine, and they're running the show, and the local police are saying, well, they're in charge. Really? Have you noticed that we have a corporate takeover? Holy shit. And it reminded me of the tornado. Oh, man. We had some big ones, but I think it was in 2011. Tornado that took out an entire town. So many dead. And a CNN reporter was driving around trying to find the morgue. And a local person said it was down the street, so he and the cameraman are driving down that street, and out of nowhere come the black polo short khaki pants, the private contractors who someone hired and told CNN, go on your way. You're not. And the reporter was saying, but this is a public road. Didn't matter. Get out of here. Private contractor. This has been going on for so long. We've done squat. Nothing. Nothing at all. I posted on it. All right, so I put the link in the chat for the Gray Zone, and here we go.
Everything's good to go?
No, I don't trust him. I mean, everybody has to make their own decision on that one. But yeah, I don't trust him.
Why not?
Big business.
I've driven through Ohio a few times while on road trips heading west from New York. I didn't ever think I would return to Ohio in order to report on an environmental disaster. On February 3rd, a freight train carrying millions of pounds of toxic chemicals derailed in the middle of East Palestine, a remote village of 4,000 people, 50 miles west of Pittsburgh. What I found in East Palestine, now 2 weeks later, was a tiny village being consumed by fear, private police, confusion, sickness, and entirely captured and corrupt environmental protection groups. After the derailment, toxic chemicals leaked from the train cars and remained on and around the tracks for 2 days. The tracks were cleared when Norfolk Southern, the corporation that owns the railroad, decided to line the poison-filled train cars with explosives and burn the chemicals instead of safely and carefully draining them. They called this a, quote, controlled ventilation. The explosion caused a toxic mushroom cloud to form over the entire town, and dust and particulates from the burnt chemicals fell down to the ground and coated the town like snow. East Palestine is a quaint town, and while driving around the roads that weren't blocked off by train authorities, I saw the town theater, the town car wash, the liquor store, the high school, and separating the town right down the middle is the now infamous railroad. Other than the dust, the local news crews, and the closed shops and stores, it seemed like a regular small town in rural America. But after going to the creek, it was obvious that something was very irregular about the town, even though East Palestine was being told everything was safe. The creek was littered with death. Nothing was alive. Dead earthworms, dead fish, dead frogs, and even more dead fish. I found East Palestinians to be extraordinarily kind, but they were not happy. They were scared, and they were skeptical of everything they were being told by the same authorities that allowed for this disaster to happen. Employees at a hardware store no more than 100 yards from Ground Zero explained to me that they didn't believe Norfolk Southern from the get-go.
Do you trust the company when they come out and say, everything's safe, we tested everything?
No, I don't. No, I don't. I know what I felt in my lungs. I've got healthy lungs. Well, I did have. Don't know what shape they're in now. But how can you trust somebody who's telling you, well, it's only going out a mile when you live 3.3 miles away? And I walk outside the morning of, and my lungs burnt. They felt like they were on fire by the time I walked out and walked back in. So, no, I don't trust anything they say.
I don't think there's any content feelings around here. My experience has been that people are still pretty much up in the air and uninformed and feel like they're being manipulated.
Do you think that the company should be trusted when they say everything's safe, everything's good to go?
No, I don't trust them. I mean, everybody has to make their own decision on that one. But yeah, I don't trust them.
Why not?
Big business.
You hear people suing McDonald's because they spilled their own cup of coffee on themselves and getting millions. We're dealing with toxic chemicals in our air where our kids play.
Common sense says you're going to burn poisonous material out up into the air. If you and I did that, we'd be in jail, right? But they can come in and burn millions of gallons or whatever it was. Yeah. They have a different set of rules, I guess.
At the center of the disaster is the environmental toxic and safety testing that's going on. The testing is being done by none other than Norfolk Southern. The town's welcome sign in the middle of town is being used to direct residents not to independent experts, but the experts at Norfolk Southern.
Who's doing the testing, in the houses?
I do believe it's Norfolk Southern.
Do you think that they're the best people to carry out those tests?
No.
Why?
No, because they can rig those machines to say whatever they want them to say to give everybody a false sense of security. We don't know. We don't know what's in the air. We don't know what's in our homes. I know some of the people are getting someone privately to come into their homes, which probably is probably a much better idea.
The people that caused the accident are responsible for it and going to take a financial hit and a PR hit are the ones that are funding and managing all of the analysis and all the treatment. No, that's not credible for most people.
Assisting Norfolk Southern with toxic testing is their privately held contractor, the Center for Toxicology and Environmental Health, or CTEH. According to critics, CTEH has a history of minimizing the effects of environmental disasters to satisfy their corporate clients. CTEH was at the center of several environmental disasters, including the BP oil spill. According to a toxicologist that spoke to the New York Times, CTEH's environmental studies and toxicology tests are designed to meet the goals of its clients. Quote, they're paid to say, everything's okay. The Norfolk Southern YouTube account recently posted a bizarre, seemingly promotional video for CTEH.
Sarah Burnett is a toxicologist with CTEH, an environmental consulting firm. She's one of dozens of scientists in East Palestine helping answer those questions about air quality.
So what do you say to them? What is that answer?
I say to them that we have detected no vinyl chloride or other constituents related to this incident in the air, and that all of our air monitoring and sampling data collectively do not indicate any short or long-term risks to them, their children, or their families.
Also taking the lead in preparing testing and analysis for the EPA is another private contractor with an arguably even more controversial history. Their name is Tetra Tech. The news that Tetra Tech has been hired by the EPA to handle this environmental disaster does not exist. But page 3 of the EPA's air safety results expose this unsavory reality. Tetra Tech is owned by the same main shareholders as Norfolk Southern, BlackRock, and Vanguard. Tetra Tech is being sued by the Department of Justice for providing entirely fraudulent soil samples to the EPA in order to protect their client, the U.S. Navy. This willing attempt for the supposed environmental group to sweep a toxic radiological disaster under the rug has been called, quote, the biggest case of eco-fraud in U.S. history.
Very good video. I will also I want to post 2 links just in case you have not seen these videos that I posted today on this channel. And to have been at this for 12 years and to have had, on one channel 70,000 subscribers and then building it up the next time because I lost that channel to about 45 or 50,000. And seeing this is really hard. I'm not a numbers person. I don't get all that affected by numbers. But it gets to the point where you're like, what's the point? What is the point? What am I doing here? You know, I'm pretty flippin' tired. But this is the video of Norfolk Southern's private police that are enforcing their own laws in East Palestine. And that can happen only because we, the people, allow it to happen. Everybody should be just unbelievably enraged that they have usurped the police powers of the local police. I swear, it's like I don't know what the hell happened here, but something really bad happened. And I'm also going to link below to this video because if you've not seen this, Tennessee hospital called police to remove woman having a stroke and she dies in police custody. Well, let me tell you, there's a shitload of evil in our country, and Americans, they just love to, remain delusional and thinking that they're just so swell, exceptional, morally superior, good people. Bullshit. Bullshit. This woman was treated so horribly, like garbage, by the police. The hospital said she was fine, I guess, discharged her, then called the police to get rid of her. Then the police show up, all these cops, manhandling her, just laughing, claiming that she's faking it, telling her to shut up, get in the car. And then there's no response. She dies. And what did she die of? A stroke. Which is what she said. She said, I feel like I'm going to die. And they thought she was faking it. So they just treated, oh my God, what the hell is wrong with our country? It's just so devastating to see what we've become. I did download one video of a protest in Lisa, sorry, I can't remember her last name. But why am I having difficulty finding it now? Don't tell me I took it off. Oh, I must have taken it off. No, here.
New tonight, almost 100 people gathered outside the city-county building in Knoxville to protest the treatment of a woman who died within a day of her arrest by police. 60-year-old Lisa Edwards lost consciousness in the back of a patrol car. She died the next day in a hospital of a stroke. Her family reviewed and released body camera footage they say shows officers mistreated a woman suffering from a list of health problems.
She was just different. I mean, she was special. She was my special person. I'll never see her again. Her boys will never see her. Her grandkids will never see her again. And I just hate that part about it.
The family of Lisa Edwards is considering a lawsuit. The district attorney in Knox County cleared the officers involved of any criminal charges. Last week, the hospital said its own investigation is open, and there is an internal affairs investigation open at Knoxville Police as well.
No. Sorry, I left my mic off. So an officer notices Edwards is not responding while she is being driven to the Knox County Detention Center. It was so obvious that she needed medical attention. So unbelievably obvious. And where is it? Maybe it's in the beginning, but nothing will happen to the police officers. And that is the crime. She was accused of trespassing when she declined to leave the property of Fort Sanders Regional Medical Center after she had been discharged because she knew something was very wrong. So I don't know where it is in this video, but I don't know what the hell we're doing. What are we doing here? I maintain what I've said my entire adult life. We hold no one accountable for anything they do. Which means everything will only get worse. Guess what? We're living worse, and we're going to see a whole lot more worse. Wildlife biologist and consultant for the Federal Forestry received hundreds of calls on both Sunday and Monday from colleagues who say forestry workers have found hundreds of dead animals in Ohio's parks. Minks, deer, elk, worms, and livers of such animals. They received the specimens of their livers and found them to be toxic off the charts. These highly toxic levels are the exact chemicals that were released from East Palestine. But it's safe. Don't worry. Mayor of College Park, Maryland, Democrat, arrested on 56 child pornography charges. We are number one in child trafficking. The good old US of A. Number one in child trafficking. You live in an evil country, and there's no argument anymore. This is this guy. Now, again, I want to say very clearly, there are gays and lesbians and transgender who are so against everything that is happening. They are very against. There's a very big difference between the, I don't want to use the word normal, but the normal gay, lesbian, transgender community and the agenda being pushed. Big difference. So please don't just group them all in. You Gays Against Groomers is an organization now that has chapters all over the country. All over the country. They are fighting against what's happening. They're very upset about what's happening because it reflects upon them. They feel their community is being used for this agenda. And they're speaking very loudly about what's happening to children, and they want to protect the children, and they want children to have just have a healthy upbringing. But of course, we need more in the fight. That's for sure. And what do we get every single day, 24/7? Lying, evil sacks of shit. Speaking the line.
But at first, I want to ask you about the border issue. It seems a real vulnerability for President Biden going into the 2024 presidential election. And this policy that you're now embracing is one that was floated nearly 2 years ago and shot down. So why the 180? And do you think possibly the Biden administration moved too quickly early on to get rid of Trump policies?
Jake, we are doing so much to tackle the challenge at the border, and it is indeed a challenge. Fundamentally, what we need is new legislation to fix what everyone agrees is a broken immigration system.
Bullshit. What we need to do is enforce immigration law. I've been screaming that for, 12 years on social media. I was even saying it before social media. We don't enforce laws anymore. And Americans are so flippin' ignorant about how things work, and they're so programmed to only listen to their authority figures. Oh, we need new legislation? No, we don't. We need to enforce the legislation that was passed. Law, enforce it. This country, I swear, it just blows my mind every flippin' day. My God. More evil. The United States doesn't want countries working with Syria's Assad on earthquake relief. Really? I thought we were caring and compassionate. State Department on Monday reaffirmed its opposition to countries upgrading their ties with the government of Syrian President Assad, even if it is an effort to aid Syria's earthquake relief. Our position on the Assad regime has not changed. Now is not the time for normalization. Oh, God, no. Let's hit them with more sanctions. And guess what? The House passed the sanctions. The House, controlled by Republicans.
Wonderful, wonderful. I want to start off with a rather unbelievable thing that they've done on how they describe it. In an effort to express our concerns about what's going on in Syria, we put on sanctions.
Yeah.
And there was a vote. People say, hey, the House overwhelmingly approves the resolution to get rid of the sanctions. I mean, they're having trouble over there. They had what they have, an earthquake.
Horrible earthquake.
So I would think this is a good time. Of course, we have to admit they suspended them for a little bit.
Partially, yeah.
And that was just PR.
Yeah.
PR stunt. To approve the resolution to maintain Syria sanctions after the earthquake. Doesn't make any sense. It's inhumane. It's not under the Constitution that we should be managing the earthquake. It doesn't give us authority to have perpetual sanctions on Syria. It hasn't given us the authority to occupy a third of Syria. It didn't give us authority to just outright steal the oil from them. And here, the whole Congress, except for two people, this should be a shock and a surprise and disappointment, and the two that voted correctly should be praised. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. The country, the Congress, and so many others, our university professors, think that, well, if you have sanctions, you don't have to have any body bags coming back. They'll just have to be somebody else's body bags. But right now, we're a powerhouse, and we can do what we want, and we can steal the oil, station our troops, and have another perpetual perpetual war. And this one's been going on. They had to have something, not many people paying any attention to Afghanistan anymore. So we had to have Syria, and that's been going on for a long time. It'll stay busy. It's part of a foreign policy that you and I have just disagreed with totally, and that there's a better way to do this, and everything they do seem to backfire because they're doing the wrong thing. In this case, I think this whole argument is backfiring on them because they blame Thomas Massey for voting. He doesn't want to have any mourning for the victims, so they put on sanctions, and the mourning increases. It makes no sense, but that's about what you should expect from government authoritarians.
Yeah, it's HRes 132. We can put up this first clip if you can. And to his great credit, Dave DeCamp, who I actually met in D.C. and saw his little boy, great guy. He actually saw through the BS. He would have been a great staffer if we could go back in time, because he actually read this bill and understood that, as you always say, it's always the opposite of what they claim. So,
and that's true. It's always the opposite of what they claim. But this continues, okay? Look, Republicans are not sweethearts. The Democrats, they've decided it would be the Democrats to go batshit crazy and bring in this Maoist woke agenda to make Americans crazy. But if Americans go crazy with that agenda, it means that they were lost already. Too bad we just never ever focus on what's really important in life. Just money, 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 money. Success, material success. And then going along with all of these agendas that I fail to understand how pathetically stupid Americans are. But it's not the young. It's everyone. Have an awful lot of baby boomers who are sitting around who actually know what's going on, not saying anything and not doing anything. They're not protecting any of the younger generations. They're not speaking out about all of these agendas. And frankly, when the younger generations blame us, I have to say, I stand accountable as a baby boomer. Who's in charge? Baby boomers. Who became the generation where material success was everything? To literally let's absent all that's really important in life and let's just go for material success. Hey, greed is good. My God.
There are objections in 2006 when we banned smoking from public places, and there are objections now. What I find unacceptable, though, is some of those who've got legitimate objections joining hands with some of those outside who are part of a far-right group who are... Some of those outside... Some of those, let's be frank, let's call a spade a spade. Some of those outside are part of the far right. Some are COVID deniers. Some are vaccine deniers. And some are Tories.
Look, hang on. The mayor has a right to be heard, right? Don't, look, this people's question time is an opportunity for you to have an exchange of views, not to hackle or shout, please. Otherwise, we can end this very, very quickly.
Now, to those people who've got legitimate concerns, it's a fact, by the way, it is a fact. Some of you have got good reasons to oppose ULEZ, but you're in coalition with COVID deniers. You're in coalition. You may not like it. 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 You're in coalition with the far right, and you're in coalition with vaccine deniers as well.
Isn't it interesting? All these leaders in Western countries are denouncing the same exact groups of people. It's almost like they have a script to come out anytime there's a protest and claim far right, Tories, anti-vaxxers, COVID deniers. No, people who do that do not have a right to be heard. In fact, they don't even have a right to be the mayor of London. What is that? What was the protest about? It was about, we need to change whether we like it or not. London's ULEZ expansion. What is this? People driving older, polluting cars now faced with a 12 pound 50 pence, I guess, fee each day they use them in outer London. But you guys in the UK, I know that Linty London is here. Tell me, cars, though, are the major target now in London. In London, with older HGVs already paying £100 a day to enter the citywide low emission zone? Are you kidding me? Linty London, I have to hear from you. Or anybody else in the UK. £100 a day. Now, when I read that, I had a vague memory of seeing a video a while ago about how shop owners were very upset with this because people weren't coming into London to shop. I keep looking in the chat, hoping to get a response. Well, so that boundary will be matched by the ULEZ from August 29, affecting 1.3 million vehicles and bringing 5 million more people into cleaner air. And apparently, there's only a few with legitimate concerns about this. Only a few. All of these people, well, I guess they're far right, they're COVID deniers, they're anti-vaxxers, they're Tories, they're this, they're that. Denounce them. They don't have legitimate concerns because they're bad people and you shouldn't listen to them. That's essentially what he's saying. More than half of the world will be overweight or obese by 2035. Genetically modified foods create obesity, along with an awful lot of other things. Sitting around, staring at a screen. Our life has changed. I believe we're number one in obesity as well. Child trafficking and obesity. Ministers considered killing all cats at the start of the pandemic. This was in the UK. To cull all pet cats. That was considered at the start of the pandemic. They're going to come after the pets. You know, there's only a few when, in comparison to the whole lot of us. And when I think that, I think how pathetic we are that we've not been able to do a flippin' thing. Nothing. And when I say we, sometimes I mean Americans, sometimes I'm talking about Westerners. All right, I'm going to play a video, but it's 8:41, and I may start tomorrow's live with that video again. But let me read this. One day, many will hang their heads in shame when they realize the evil they defended and sat back and remained silent, and the heroes they ridiculed, they will hang their heads in shame. No, because most people won't even come to the realization. Because the brain is a very powerful muscle that works to protect all people, all individuals. You got to bust through that protection. But it protects, it justifies, it rationalizes, it lies. It creates a self-deceptive script to make people feel okay.
I'm not 100% sure why I'm being asked to share this story, but I'm guessing it's because somebody needs to hear it. When I was 16, I went into what I thought was going to be a normal day at biology class. And when I walked in, all the desks were arranged in a circle in the middle of the room. And the instructor, who had always been a really amazing, loving, kind instructor, was super militant, super scary, and just looked at us and said, "Sit down, shut up. You are not allowed to move, to speak at all, and anyone who does will immediately fail my class." And we were all stunned. I get like, ugh, just thinking about it, because I was a straight A student and grades were really important to me, and I was just like terrified. So we're all sitting there silently, nervous out of our minds. And in the middle of this circle that we were all sitting in, there was one desk. And on this desk was a bowl with a goldfish in it. And he looked at us and he took the goldfish and he put it on the desk and he walked out and he shut the door. And we all just looked at each other. We're just like, what do we do? You know, like, obviously it violated like everything inside of me to like watch this fish die. And also, I heard the instruction. If you speak, if you get up, if you move, you will automatically fail the class. And so we all sat there looking to each other to do something because we didn't want it to be us. And what was a very painful, it felt like an eternity. It was probably like 2.5 minutes later. Hannah B, got up and said, "Fuck this," and took the goldfish and put it back in the bowl. And when she did that, he came out and he looked at all of us and he said, "Look what the world has done to you. You've betrayed yourself. For what?" And I think about that lesson all the time because I learned in that moment that I am never going to be that person ever again. That when I see something that is wrong, even if it's just me, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to do what's right. And I've done that over and over again in my life in very scary situations. But I'm sad for people who haven't learned that lesson, because there are so many things that are wrong that if you're too scared to make a difference, you won't make right.
Now that's a TikTok I like to see. In what? A matter of 2 minutes and 52 seconds. Powerful, beautifully spoken, eloquent, and it hits home. And if it didn't hit home for you, listen to it over and over and over again until it does. Yeah, we have way too few who do what's right. Do what's right. And I don't understand. All right, so let me tell a story that I actually had videos on one of my channels. Oh God, what was the year? I think 1983. I was working at a temporary agency in Manhattan. I had a client, Sterling National Bank. I used to remember my contact's name, but I can't remember it anymore, at Sterling National Bank. And she would place these orders for, a messenger to executive secretaries and computer people. It was just across the board. I never, ever had a problem filling those temporary positions. On a Monday in the morning, she calls and places an order for an executive secretary to fill in for the executive secretary who was going on vacation for 3 weeks in executive row of Sterling National Bank. And I've never received an order like this one. They had to have a typing speed that was beyond most. Steno at that time was a dying art. They had to take steno. But at the tail end of every order, this woman would say and make sure they're a Madison Avenue type. Their headquarters was on Madison Avenue. And, I just thought they needed to have a certain sophistication style. Monday, I had to confirm that I had that executive secretary by Friday because they had to show up on Monday, the following Monday. And Friday morning, I'm getting really flippin' nervous because I have no one. And all of a sudden, it was like around noontime, the door to the temporary agency walks in. And in comes this woman who was breathtaking. Like, those women who they turn heads because they just have a certain grace about them in their walk, in their manner, their affect. It's like pure grace. In comes pure grace. Never seen her before. And she's standing online to register with our temporary agency. And she was wearing something that was also very unique, very stylish, very, but also very professional. I'm the one to interview her. She's an executive secretary, steno. She has every qualification. Not only that, our headquarters for this temporary agency was down in Jacksonville, Florida, where she had been a temp at our agency for years and had sterling references. But it was a reference within our own company. It was a godsend like you would not believe. I call the contact at Sterling National Bank I have the executive secretary. She's coming in Monday. She goes in Monday. I go to work Monday. Tuesday morning, I go through the door, the front door of the temporary agency. And it was just an open office with, all of the, pawns, including me, who worked at our desks. And then all the way in the back were floor-to-ceiling glass with 2 offices, one my supervisor, the other one was the head of the temporary agency. I walk in, and it's kind of quiet, but it's early Tuesday morning, and I'm okay. But I see my supervisor, the head of the agency, and a woman there that I had never seen before. And they're doing this to me. Like, get in here. I walk in, shut the door. They're all short. I'm 6 feet tall. They tell me to sit down, and they're standing in front of me. And the head of the agency says, "What do you think Madison Avenue type means?" Now, my mind is like, it's not operating too quickly because I know I did something. Their attitude was not so nice. And I was about to open my mouth to say stylish Madison Avenue. Madison Avenue in New York is, the fashion, the style. Okay. I hear no black people. The woman was black. This was 1983. You want to tell me that we didn't have systemic racism? Oh, we most certainly did. In fact, afterwards I found out, because I did a little bit of research, temporary agencies, I think it was 1976, but it was in the 70s. There was a class action suit against temporary agencies for the racism that they were employing. And after the lawsuit, temporary agencies were unable to have on any application the race of the individual. But they got around it. They would put a check mark in the right-hand corner for maybe somebody who was black. Another, little mark in the right-hand corner, Hispanic, Asian. If it was not marked, it was white. Madison Avenue type, no black people. Now, I thought to myself, that was kind of important. Why didn't they tell me? They didn't. I didn't know. I was told to take her off the position. And I couldn't do it. And I walked out of that office. And all of the people in the open office had their heads down. No one said a word to me. And I walked out the door and quit. And she never was taken off the job, which I found out later. Why? Because I was the evidence. And if I heard that she was taken off that position, I would have contacted her. So, regardless of what consequences you may bring to yourself for doing what's right, you have to do what's right. You just have to do what's right. And we have so few that do that. So what happens? We live a nightmare. I hope all of you be a force of good and do what's right. Always. You help the elderly. You help those that you know need it. This is not a time to be sitting around doing the same old, same old. Now is the time to change. It is imperative. It's our responsibility. It's our obligation. You do what is right. So, I do want everybody to stay safe. Anybody hear from Sith Trish? Sith Trish, I think you wrote something about you still have a storm, but the winds had died down. I just want everybody to stay safe because these storms are going. Look, it's pretty much on a daily basis now that we have severe weather and people are losing their homes. Okay, good. Thank you, Sith Trish, for leaving that comment. It's up to every one of us to do what we can. And if you're not, and you're just concerned about your own life, look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, why am I this way? So on that note, stay safe. Hope to see you tomorrow night. Ciao.